Muzikinis Takelis. Muzikinis Takelis.
Hello everyone, Muzikinis Takelis is back, and today we have got a new genre which we will introduce to you, and this genre will have a couple of episodes. So on the first episode we will cover what it is, how it started, where the influence came up, and the second genre in the second episode we will look into more how it influenced 90s, 80s, and 2000s more or less. So today we have got me, Lukas, and my co-host friend Thomas, aka Destiny.
Yeah, what's up?
So Thomas, do you have something to say about this genre before we start? How do you feel today? What are your thoughts about the R&B?
I think it's a pretty important genre to talk about because it has a very wide history. It has a long history. Starts back in the middle of 1940s, and is still alive and still viable today. So it touches different generations. It got few transformations, so you can get lost. You can get lost in between this jungle. So I think it's nice to dive deep.
Yeah, and probably have a couple of episodes for
Probably,
for separating it, because it's for one episode it's really, I would say, information heavy. You also have got different stuff happening around, and then you can more or less just focus maybe at the beginning, and then later on the evolution takes a little bit faster pace, and then you can see how everything went in. So all right, Thomas, I think today we're diving in, as you mentioned, most influential, emotionally rich, and evolving genre of music, which is R&B, short for rhythms and blues.
Yes.
Now I know we have covered a lot of genres on Muzikinis Takelis, but R&B is something truly special. It's probably a huge mixture of genres that we covered in our first season. It's not just a sound, it's a feeling. It's a pulse of heartbeat beat and healing, of logging and liberation.
And you can't talk about modern music without talking about R&B. Whether it's old school ballads from the 50s, the smooth harmonies of 90s vocal groups, or the moody textures of alt R&B artists today. Like, R&B has been emotional engine of popular music for over like 80 years, and probably it will be even longer. And it all started in the African American communities of the United States, as not the first genre, as a way to give rhythm and voice to real human stories.
That's the heart of it, isn't it? Like, R&B was born out of need to express emotion in its rawest form. The early roots come from the combination of gospel, jazz, and blues, all colliding into one potent form of expression. And the timing was significant. This was the 1940s, during a period of deep racial segregation in the US, when black voices were often dismissed or hidden from the mainstream. R&B changed that.
True. And interestingly, the term rhythm and blues itself didn't even come from the musicians. It was coined by Billboard in 1949, and before that, it was referred to pretty offensively as race music. But that rebranding opened doors for the music to reach broader audiences and basically gain the recognition that it truly deserves. And it wasn't just a semantic change, it basically marked a whole cultural shift.
And R&B wasn't just a new genre, it was like a lifeline. It gave African American artists a platform, and it gave listeners a mirror. It allowed people to say, that's my story, that's my pain, that's my joy. Early R&B captured the highs and lows of life in a way that was so honest, so human. And even the decades, it's continued to evolve without ever losing that emotional intensity.
And it's incredible actually how each era of R&B has responded to its moment in history. In the 50s and 60s, it provided the soundtrack to the civil rights movement. In the 70s, it fused with funk and soul to help redefine what cool sounded like. And in the 80s, for example, it embraced the synthesizer revolution. In the 90s and 2000s, it dominated the charts and shaped pop music itself. So with every decade, it kind of enhanced as a genre and enhanced some other genres as well. So it was like a mixture that was growing.
Yeah, and no matter how it shifted in style, it never lost its soul. I mean, you can listen to the 1950s Ruth Brown track and a 2020s Frank Ocean track, and even though the production and language are totally different, there's still that same emotional resonance, that same vulnerability. That's the essence of R&B.
And let's not forget how much R&B has influenced other genres. Like it's all rock and roll wouldn't exist without R&B. Funk wouldn't exist. Hip hop and pop would sound completely probably different, and even electronic genres like house and garage pull from R&B's vocal traditions. So it's like R&B is this massive musical tree, and these genres are branches growing out from its trunk.
It's also interesting to me how R&B was always been a genre where voices really matter, and I don't just mean vocals in technical sense, though. Wow, the talent is off the charts. I mean voices in the broader cultural sense. It's a genre where people tell their truths, whether it's Aretha Franklin demanding respect or Beyonce unpacking black womanhood and heartbreak in Lemonade. R&B gives people space to speak and to be heard.
And often to emotionally heal, R&B is a therapeutic, you could say. It's music that lets you feel something without apologizing for it. It's slow when it needs to be slow, and it's messy when it needs to be messy. And when it wants to be sexy, probably no genre does it better.
Huh. Yeah, true. I agree, but seriously, I think part of the reason why R&B is so enduring in that it adapts to each generation's emotional language. Whether you're a millennial texting lyrics during a breakup or a baby boomer playing artist reading on vinyl, R&B finds a way to speak to you.
And even though R&B originated in a very specific cultural context, like Black America, it's become a global language. Today we've got R&B artists in Seoul, London, Lagos, Berlin, basically everywhere in the world, and they're not just they're not just copying American sound. They're bringing their own stories and original flavors to it. The genre's global now, and it's richer for it.
That that global expansion is such a big part of where R&B is headed. But before we jump to where it's going, I think it's important that we go deeper into where it started, the pioneers, the labels, the sound. How did this genre, so rooted in personal pain and community resilience, became one of the most dominant musical forces of 20 and 21st centuries?
And that is the question. So let's rewind. We're going to dive into the foundational years, those early R&B voices that paved the way. Artists like Ruth Brown, Ray Charles, Sam Cooke, labels like Atlantic, Chess, and of course Motown, the music that laid the foundation for everything that followed, next.
Yeah, so I think we did a quick intro of R&B, and we will be diving into a little bit more in detail, a little bit more like into these small piece by piece movements that help to develop this genre. So before diving in, Thomas, what do you think after like introducing this short, I would say, introduction of a genre of what was going on, what were like main ideas, how it sounds, where it starts? What do you think? Do you even ever listen to this genre more than you're like listening to your favorite genre, or was there a time that you said, okay, let's try, let's check?
Um, Actually, not really. Like, I'm not that much dive deep into the R&B, but uh, with the time passes on, I realize, with some, of course, extra reading and some extra like education, I understand that there are genres like, for example, like UKG, where you get that flavor. You get that flavor that you maybe do not like you're not familiar with, but then you realize that, oh wait, that's from R&B, and it's in a like you realize that R&B is just in a different shape, in a different form, in other genres. Somewhere is just a little spice, somewhere maybe half of it. It's just a cool thing to find out that like it's that even that maybe you don't know like about it too much,
Yeah.
but later you just realize and you start to hear the I don't know, like those flavors.
Yeah, and I think the more you like educate yourself with the history of a genre, how it evolved, what was the like evolving branches or new branches in the tree, then you start to think like, okay, maybe I was listening to one like subgenre of this huge genre, like for me it's a hip hop, and you're like, okay, now I understand why everyone was sampling a couple of things from R&B and using in hip hop, giving this a little bit like hip hop tone, and then tuning everything and making it a little bit more in a different way. So yeah, I would think I would stick to the idea of the more you educate yourself, the better you understand, the better you're into the genre, and better just like overall understanding of a music. And
Yeah,
you
and I
don't have to
mean,
like move into one genre. I don't know, defending just one genre. You're when you're having a bigger picture, you're unable to
true.
defend one genre because you understand that there was so much growth that it just made other genres possible. So
Yeah, and it's completely logical because like it's almost like 80 years. So it's like when you have well, let's
almost
call
a
it,
decade.
yeah, well, no, it's almost like a century. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
like
Sorry. Yeah. It's
yeah,
a
so
century more.
it's when you have a, let's say, pretty old forming genre, like style genre. So it's normal that you know it has it's like a father, so it's like it influenced a lot of like children and grandchildren coming out like later on and passing the sound. So I think it's absolutely normal that the older the genre, the older the music, it has a wider touch for all the music, so I think it's that's how it should be. And I think it's nice. It makes it sets some new ideas for other genres. So
Yeah, yeah, and I hope it sets some new ideas for you as a DJ. To
you
maybe
never know. You never know.
yeah, a little bit, maybe a little bit better understanding of what is going on, what is where, and why some like samples are mixed in between, let's say, a house or a little bit heavier electronic music. So I think without any further ado, we can jump into our block, which I would say the roots of R&B.
Yep. Yep. So we can actually continue, and uh, we can't overlook how the church played a vital role in shaping early R&B. Many of the greatest R&B vocalists started out in gospel choirs. The emotional church power, the improvisation, the call and response style, it all came from the black church experience. And gospel wasn't just an influence; it was the basically the backbone of early R&B vocal delivery.
Totally agree with you, Thomas. You can hear it in Sam Cooke's voice, for instance. Before becoming a pioneer of soul and R&B, he was a gospel star with soul stirrers. When he crossed over into secular music, he brought that gospel smoothness and sincerity with him. Songs like "You Send Me" bridge that secular divide, and audiences loved it.
And what's interesting is how controversial that was at the time. Some religious leaders criticized artists like Cooke or Ray Charles for blending the sacred and the profane. But in doing so, these artists were really expressing the full range of human experience. Faith, desire, struggle, say joy, and that honesty that is part of what made early R&B so powerful.
Really, really nice point. And if we look, for example, geographically, R&B early hubs were spread across the U.S. You had Chicago's Records, which leaned blues heavy with artists like Muddy Waters and Etta James. Down in Cincinnati, King Records gave us the raw, energetic sound of Hog Ballard and Midnighters, and of course New Orleans, with its melting pot of cultures, gave us rhythm electric legends like Fats Domino and Professor Longhair.
Oh yeah, Fats Domino. Uh, his piano-driven style, that rolling rhythm, it was the perfect marriage of R&B and early rock and roll. He made it all feel so effortless, and yet his sound was incredibly influential. Like even Elvis Presley himself often cited Domino as a major influence.
That's a great reminder, Thomas. Early R&B didn't just pave the way for soul and funk, it laid the very foundation for rock and roll. The boundary between two was blurry in the 50s. Think of Chucky Berry, for example. His songs were often labeled as rock and roll, but structurally and rhythmically they were pure R&B.
Yeah, and Chuck and Berry wasn't just a musical innovator, he was a culture icon as well. His lyrics spoke to the teenage experience in a way that was completely new. He was writing about school, cars, love, and freedom, all wrapped in this R&B energy, but delivered with a rock and roll attitude.
Let's not forget how influential the R&B charts were too. Billboard began tracking
Yeah.
race records and later rhythms and blues records as separate from the pop charts. But more and more, the two began to overlap. Songs that were once confined to black radio stations started crossing over to white audience, and that was huge.
Yep. Uh, Basically, that crossover appeal changed everything. It opened the doors for future black artists and challenged segregation in a very real cultured way. So, music became a form of, let's say, quiet resistance and also a bridge. So, it helped people cone through rhythm, through shared emotions, and even if they didn't share the same background.
Exactly. R&B was revolutionary not just because of the sound, but because of what it meant. It wasn't polished at first, it was raw, heartfelt, urgent. That's honesty struck a chord, no pun intended, with people all across America.
Yeah, and people, I think people in the very beginning, people know, people like, people like it raw without even So, and also that like that spirit that blends, that blend of heart, rhythm, and the struggle. Um, it continues to echo in the modern like rhythms and blues, but the roots, well, they go deep. They lie in the clubs of Chicago and New Orleans, the gospel halls of the South, the recording studios of New York and Detroit. It's a story of community, survival, you can say, uh, the real expression, and of course, innovation.
You've said it beautifully, Thomas. The birth of R&B or rhythms and blues wasn't just about the invention of new musical style. It was about giving a voice to generation, to people who had been marginalized for too long. And once that voice found its rhythm, there was no turning back. And I think this is a perfect spot for us to sum up our second part of going through the history, or where it started, how it went, what is your now ideas and thoughts in your head regarding this information, regarding going so back in time and looking into, for example, rock and roll, mixing between the R&B like structures and so on.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not really sure. I'm just trying to maybe. I'm just trying to imagine. I'm just trying to imagine the times, even though it's tough because it's the time where you and I, like, we haven't lived there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it's not easy to just.
Our parents actually still was not living.
Yeah, like our parents were not even living. Like we could say. Even our grandparents were just born, But I don't know. Maybe you can imagine. You can maybe remember. I don't know. Maybe some pictures, some moments from maybe movies, maybe series where there's some some kind of revival and just reincarnation of that style and that they try to show it how it looks. So I'm trying to kind of mix all of that scene information and trying to, I don't know, just trying to feel how it was. But I guess, I don't know, everything makes sense. Like, during tough times, during all these, like inequalities, all these struggles, I think the music was and only is now, but back then maybe it was even a stronger force to, I don't know, to spark. Maybe it wasn't the main thing to spark some, I don't know, some sort of revolutions, to spark something, but maybe it was just to spark for every person who is maybe who is feeling like, I don't know, feeling unfair. Feeling small, feeling with less power, just giving that positivity, just giving that peace and calmness within the heart. So I guess because the tempo was way slower. The tempo was slow. It was just getting faster through the decades, but so I guess it was just kind of calm down and just
I would say, like,
finding a peace between the chaos.
Like remove the pressure, decrease the pressure of stress in you as a person.
Yeah.
So I think this was the main thing which they used.
Probably, yeah. And I mean, like, and if you think about it, it's even today, you if you want to run away a bit, or if you want to just like relax or escape from some thoughts or some things going on, the music is there for you. So
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think it's perfect time for us to finalize this episode, and just to say for everyone that was listening, still is listening, thank you for listening us, for following us, for supporting us. We would like to end our part one of rhythmic and blues genre overview.
Yep.
And as always, we're leaving a link of a SoundCloud mix of early rhythmic and blues music, which Thomas will prepare for you to listen, to throw your ear to that mix, to get familiar what was then,
To feel
and
the vibe. Feel
yeah,
the vibe.
yeah, to feel the vibe. This
Feel
is a really nice expression, and for better understanding how it started and where it will go in the next episode. So yeah, so I think that's it from me. Thomas, you have something else what you would like to add for audience?
You said everything just perfectly. So thank you for going through the journey, and keep learning as we do.
Okay, see you guys. Thank you. Ciao.